Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north. It's time for a little bit of a laid-back conversational style video. So today I thought we'd have a look at some of my streps, and I'm going to try and choose my top 5 Streptocarpus blooms. Now, of course, if I did it on a different day, I'd no doubt choose different top 5. And if I had a bigger collection, I'd no doubt choose a different top 5. But I've got what I've got, so I thought we'll have a look and see if I can come up with a criteria to decide which blooms are the ones that are in my top 5. And which one is it that number 1 spot? Well, you'll have to wait and see. So let's dive in. And we are in. So if you spend that intro studiously looking at the spot of rainwater on my glasses, then you're not the only one, because that's mired me to death in editing, but I can't do anything about it. It's there. So it is, of course, pouring it down as usual, as it always is in the UK, it feels like anyway. But this is actually good for my streps, because they didn't really like the really hot, strong sun that we had several weeks ago. It seems like months ago now. And as you can see here, this zebrina is doing particularly well. I did a video on this not so long ago. It's absolutely loving the new way of growing in this grow bag. So I said it was a bit of a conversational style video. I'm studiously avoiding pointing at any of my Streptocarpus because I don't want to give the game away. So we'll just have a quick little chat about what the criteria should be if you're going to choose something like this, or for me anyway, what it should be for me if I'm going to choose my top 5. So I would say something that's unusual. I don't want something that loads and loads of people appear to have. So unusual blooms, unusual colours, maybe unusual patterning. I would say something that has many blooms on it, very floriferous, or large blooms. Something that's rare. I think if you're used to buying things online, you're used to seeing this term rare on eBay or even on Facebook. They tend to put something is rare if they just want to get a higher price for it. Easy to look after. I know hybrids can have slightly different care requirements, so we want something that's relatively easy. Blooms on a young plant, so something that blooms on a relatively young plant. Sometimes you can have to wait, especially with streps, until they're a certain size before you get those blooms to come. Leaves, I don't really want leaves that are too large. Again, on streps, you can get some hybrids that have absolutely huge leaves, and they do tend to take over. They're easy enough to cut off. And something that evokes an emotional response is something that I would particularly go for. So that's what I should base my top 5 on, but of course I haven't. Why not? Well, because I just feel that blooms are an emotional thing, aren't they? For me anyway. They might not be for you, but I suspect they might be. They are something that evoke an emotional response in all of us, and I think that a criteria in my particular case just kind of defeats the object of a bloom. I want a flower to be something that makes me feel something other than, well, it's easy to look after, it has this criteria, it has that criteria. I don't want that. I just want something that I look at and I think, I really like that. I want it. Something that when you spot it at a garden centre or you spot it online in a photograph or in a video, you think, God, I've got to have that bloom. I don't care what conditions it has. I don't care how long it lasts, how difficult it is to look after. I want it. And I think for many of us plant lovers, I guess that's something that many people might relate to. Having shown you my criteria and told you the fact that I'm going to completely ignore that criteria, I would go through my top 5. And I have to say, I've cheated a little bit. I just couldn't pick 5. It's almost like picking your 5 favourite children. If I had 5 children, maybe I have somewhere. No, definitely not if my wife's watching this. So, number 5, I have gone for, and it's one of my older varieties, so it's in a bigger pot. I have gone for Streptocarpus polka dot purple. And there it is in all its glory. So this is one that I've had a number of years, and it is in a fairly large pot, probably a 10 centimetre pot, and it always does really well for me. It's not the earliest of bloomers, but it will bloom right the way through till Christmas time. So that is a gorgeous, gorgeous bloom. Very striking amongst all the other blooms. I mean, even as I'm looking at my list here, I'm looking around thinking, oh, I missed that one. I should have put that one on, or I missed that one. There's just so much variety with Streptocarpus. And if you haven't grown Streptocarpus before and you like to grow in the house or in a grow room, then I would definitely say, give them a go. There are so many gorgeous blooms and you get so much for your money, and they're very, very easy to propagate as well. So that's number 5, polka dot purple. So number 4, I did say I'd cheated a little bit. I'll just take you along the floor because I don't want to give all these Streptocarpus blooms away just yet. So number 4 for me is joint number 4. So first of all, the first number 4 is this little gem here. So this one is Streptocarpus harlequin blue. That's this one between my fingers, not the one on the left. And this one does have an award of garden merit, I believe. I think I'm right in saying that. It's certainly won an award. I think it was like the plant or the Streptocarpus of the decade. Or it might have even been the plant of the decade. It was certainly well thought of. And mine's only in a little pot. I've had it a year and a bit. There's a few more blooms coming on it now, and again, it's not the first one to bloom, and it takes a while to get going, and it's going to look absolutely stunning when it's in a really big pot. Let's just see if I can get it into the light there. It looks really, really special when there's lots of blooms coming out there. So that's my number 4, and I have another number 4. It's a joint number 4. This one down here. So this is, again, it's only a small one, and this one is Streptocarpus DS Caramel. You'll find there's a number of the DS varieties on my list. So you can't get these from Dibley's, or you couldn't last time I looked. These ones I think I got off eBay, or it might have just been somebody sent me the name of a seller. I think it's come from Russia. But it's a beautiful, beautiful colour. This bloom's actually going over a little bit, and again, it's a small pot, so it's not one that is giving me its best yet. When it gets to its bigger pot at the end of this year, no doubt next year's showing will be much, much nicer. But that kind of reminds me of ice cream. It's like a lemon sorbet with the raspberry ripple running through the middle. Beautiful bloom. So number 3 is this little beauty. So this is another harlequin variety. This is harlequin purple, and one of the blooms have fallen off there. Gorgeous thing. Another bloom coming again. It's only in a small pot, this one. I must say, since I moved the watering over to be like bottom watering using the capillary matting, they seem to be doing much, much better. And so far, there's no sign that they feel like they're waterlogged. I must admit that I do let them dry out. Even though they're on capillary matting, I can remove the joining strips for the capillary matting, and which I do eventually. I let the water run down, and then I remove it. I don't top the water up, and then I leave them a few days and let them dry out. So in that sense, they're not completely soggy all the time. So that's my number 3. That's harlequin purple. And moving over to the business end now, my number 2 of my top 5 Streptocarpus. I had to put this one in. So this one is DS Kalahari, Streptocarpus DS Kalahari. This one isn't fully open yet. You can see it's got some buds on it, but you can see what it's going to look like. It has huge blooms, and it also has huge leaves. And look at the size of that leaf. Bearing in mind it's only, and I'll just take it out here because it's not really in the light, it's only in an 8cm pot. When I get that into a bigger pot, that is really going to be a stunning plant. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, very large flowers. It really is one for the show table, I think. So that's my number 2 of my top 5 Streptocarpus. Of the moment, I must say, because obviously if I chose this next week or the week after or the week after that, no doubt I'd have a different favourite. So what's my number 1? Well, let's zoom in over to my number 1. It's a newly opened one for me. It's not this one, surprisingly, and that is a gorgeous one. I have to say, it's a beautiful, beautiful bloom, but we're going to move over this way, and there it is. This one is first time bloomer for me. Again, another new one that I've had just over 12 months. This one is Streptocarpus DS Hot Chocolate. How can anything with chocolate in the name not be a favourite? I love this one. None of the Streptocarpus I've got, and I'm not even aware of any that actually have a scent. There may be one somewhere. If you know of that, put it in the comments below. But it doesn't really matter, because when you've got blooms to look at like that, that to me is a beautiful bloom. I think it's probably because it's very different to all my others that I'm so pleased with that one. Again, it's another one that's going to be even better when it's in a bigger pot. So some runners up. Well, we've got this one here. This is DS1126 because it doesn't yet have a proper name. We've got some more harlequin types over here. This one Bethan always does particularly well for me. We've got, oh, what's this one? I can't even remember what it's called. We've got the crystal ice varieties. We've got this one over here. I always forget what this one is. It is KT, of course it is. It's KT. I should know by now. So they're all looking particularly good at the moment. And it's just the case that once that really hot sun had gone, then they came back in force. And I have got a number of plants that haven't yet bloomed because it's just not their time yet. So I'm hoping before the end of the year we get some nice new blooms and nice new surprises. So I've got a couple of questions for subscribers or anybody watching. So first question is, if you're a Streptocarpus grower, then what's your favourite Streptocarpus? I said I've only got a small collection here. There are hundreds more hybrids. So what's your favourite? And the second question is, if you had to choose from my collection, which one would you have chose as your number one? Was it the same as mine? I expect a lot of people would go for the Kalahari at the back over there. But would you have gone for something else? Is there another one that I've not really mentioned that you've spotted as I've been panning around and zooming around the greenhouse? So I'd love to hear from you. Put your answers in the comments below. And if you haven't thought of growing Streptocarpus, I'll stick a card up at the end because you really should give it a go. They are fantastic plants. So for now, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.